if you can't get excited about what's coming, this is proper living now. This is exactly where you want to be.
We know it's going to be a massive game, and the only way you go into these games is believing in your game and who you are, and we do.
You sort of sensed that that quarterfinal weekend in Paris was going to be one of the greatest weekends of rugby we'd ever seen, and so it proved.
Over the next 2 evenings, the Stade de France will stage the 2 biggest World Cup quarterfinals we have ever seen. Tonight, #1 side in the world, Ireland, who've never made it through to the Final Four, up against the 3-time world champions, New Zealand.
To be honest, it made me fall back in love with rugby again. They're some of my greatest memories of covering rugby. They were phenomenal atmospheres. There's few sports that can have this level of excitement till the dying death. Nice going back over, to be honest. I enjoyed bits of it. When you emailed, I was kind of like, oh, do we have to do this?
Yeah, for 111 years, Ireland couldn't beat New Zealand in a test match. No, I think they had one draw in 1973 in Dublin. But, you know, that was a team New Zealand never lost to.
Well, there wasn't really a rivalry. That was the simple fact. Ireland hadn't beaten the All Blacks, and bar once or twice, hadn't really come close. There were light years between the teams, and what changed was 2013, and a Kiwi, Joe Schmidt, came in and probably convinced his players that they could compete. And slowly but surely, he built that belief. They won 2 Six Nations, and that led them towards Chicago with genuine belief for the first time that they could compete with New Zealand.
Yeah, it was a very emotional time for Irish rugby. Just a few weeks before the Munster and Irish legend Anthony Foley had died in Paris in the lead up to that match in Chicago. So they came into it with a very, very emotional mindset, I think, not only because they wanted to beat New Zealand for the first time, but with all that going on in the background was really significant for Ireland.
You could sense from early in the week that there was maybe a bit of history in the making. Ireland had a brilliant few years under Joe Schmidt. The Chicago Cubs ended their long drought in American baseball to win the title, and the celebrations in the city were phenomenal.
And there were pictures of the All Blacks lining the streets of Chicago, watching the parade as the Cubs went through.
You maybe sense that the All Blacks had gotten into a rhythm, a routine of beating Ireland, and maybe their eyes weren't totally on the ball. I remember chatting to a few of them, and they were struggling maybe to name out a couple of the Irish players who were going to be key that weekend. And you just got a little sense that there was a chance here for Ireland. It was probably going to take something unusual in terms of the setting for Ireland to get over the line. I think that actually helped. Go somewhere different, a chance to make history, and wow, they made history. It has become a genuine rivalry now, one of the best in rugby since that day.
I've never seen an atmosphere or a sense of anticipation or excitement leading into that World Cup like there was for France 2023. That Friday night in Paris, going into Stade de France 3 or 4 hours before the game, you could sense there was a level of expectation and excitement. People thought they were about to witness something special.
What noise here inside the National Stadium in Paris.
Well, the first thing you notice when you turn up to the Stade de France that night is how many Irish are there. I mean, it's a sea of green. We saw it in the pool game against South Africa. You know, zombie ring around the stadium at full time at that match. It was a takeover.
Wow, it was absolute goosebump stuff to hear the fans. And I know the players felt that way as well, and they felt that connection. It just felt like a green tidal wave was behind Andy Farrell's team.
We didn't even dream of winning the World Cup. So said Johnny Sexton this week. Well, the dream for Ireland is very real now. The question is, can Ireland carry the burden of favourite?
Oh, they were the best team in the world, Ireland, no doubt about it. Six Nations, autumn internationals, summer tours, you name it. They were beating every international team, every top-tier team on the planet.
It was hard then not to take them very seriously. I mean, they went into the World Cup as deserving favourites. Those narratives kind of crashed against the rocks of those expectations, and it kind of created this perfect storm. And yeah, I fully expected Ireland to win that game.
When the All Blacks did the haka, you couldn't hear it.
The place just went mental.
International. He refereed the series-winning third test for Ireland in Wellington last year.
After the World Cup in 2019, Andy Farrell takes over, and it's a new era, a fresh start. And yeah, he built on what Ireland had done in that previous four-year cycle. He was there for it, obviously, as Joe Schmidt's assistant coach. He saw the strengths, he saw the weaknesses, and he saw that 2022 in New Zealand, when they went down on tour, was going to be pivotal for his ultimate goal of winning the 2023 World Cup.
To play the All Blacks 3 weeks in a row and then to play two matches against the New Zealand Maori in the middle doesn't leave you much room for comfort or relaxation. And obviously then went and won a series, which was huge. And we all thought that's the exact recipe you would like a year out from a Rugby World Cup.
It was titanic for Ireland, really, to go down to New Zealand and win a series. I actually think it was more important for what happened with New Zealand. Ireland got a bit of belief out of it, of course, but I actually think it changed how New Zealand viewed the whole thing. They knew that it was highly likely they would play Ireland in the World Cup, and it simmered for a year. And they changed their defence, they changed their coaching staff, they changed the people in the team quite dramatically. Key to it all, really, is a man we've mentioned a little bit earlier on, is Joe Schmidt coming in. And listen, I think Foster hasn't been given enough credit for how he turned things around ultimately and got them to a World Cup quarter-final, but Schmidt's fingerprints were all over. For the revival and the change in style and how they started to pick out real weaknesses in opposition and be unbelievably well prepared. And that tour, in hindsight, Ireland really poked the bear.
I tell you what, Rupert, I've been sidelined for many All Blacks hakas pre-game, having covered the Wallabies for many years. I have never not been able to hear the haka from the sideline. The singing from the Ireland fans here just drowned everything out. It was incredible.
We're underway in the quarter-final. Can Ireland lift the quarter-final hoodoo? Or will the All Blacks reassert their World Cup credentials? New Zealand have a penalty.
On your feet to play it, please.
Early nerves. Ireland have won 5 of the last 8 against New Zealand, 3 or 4 under head coach Andy Farrell. First scrum.
Keep high this side, stay in the scrum.
Ireland pile on the pressure. It's spun, but it's a New Zealand penalty. Not pushing straight is the call.
Not straight. That's a couple of penalties from the loose end. I know he's frustrated already.
There was a tough scrum penalty against him earlier on. Well, I'd say Andrew Porter still feels he was hard done by. Wayne Barnes' call went against him, and that gave New Zealand a bit of momentum early on in the game.
Discipline is such a cornerstone of their game, but there's 2 that have gone against them early on here.
Cup final type game with variance between the two teams, you can't afford to be giving up those type of penalties.
An attacking line-out for New Zealand. Cody Taylor throws to Retallick. He comes around the corner, does Taylor as well, and there's big 6'5" Jordie Barrett. Big defence from Ireland. Here's Will Jordan to Jordie Barrett. Big tackle on him from the former Māori All Black James Lowe. Taylor again though. Frizzell out the back to Mo'unga. Jordan, quick hands to Jordie Barrett. Couple of tackles on him. He gets through the first one. It was Gary Ringrose. Physical stuff early from New Zealand, bossing this game with the pick and go right now. But that defence of Ireland standing firm as well.
It was rugby of the highest calibre, with and without the ball. You had two teams playing at their absolute peak. Defensively, the best two defensive sets I think we've ever seen in the game, both at the start of the match and at the end.
Already 30 tackles from Ireland here, 21 phases for New Zealand. Will Jordan hit hard again. Ardie Savea again, 25 phases. Retallick coming around the corner. They go the same way, Sam Cane. The green wall of Ireland, standing tall once again. Ardie Savea tries some footwork this time. Tyke Byrne with the tackle for Ireland. There's the advantage for New Zealand. The sea of green inside the stadium don't like it. Richie Mo'unga kicks high. James Lowe underneath it. Will Jordan climbed high as well. They will go back for the penalty.
Ireland had to withstand a massive barrage from the All Blacks before the penalty that sent the All Blacks 3-0 up. And even though they conceded there, I think they would have taken a bit of heart from it.
I think Andy Farrell said during the week in the build-up, this is big boy stuff. It's a very Andy Farrell thing to say, but he was absolutely right. And that sequence at the start absolutely confirmed that, yeah.
First points to the All Blacks. Long pass out to Gary Ringrose from Johnny Sexton. He has to get involved in the breakdown as well, and Ireland now get a penalty.
And this is the difference in this current Irish group. They are going for the corner, and I love it.
Jamison Gibson-Park to Hugo Keenan, gets the ball away to James Lowe, slightly behind him, can't hold on, and it's gone over the sideline. So slightly inefficient there from Ireland.
Unfortunately for Ireland, they couldn't convert when they got into New Zealand 22. Twice in particular, you think of Hugo Keenan nearly offloading to James Lowe in the left corner. If that ball goes to hand, maybe he finishes and maybe they get the dream start.
And Peter O'Mahony has won it for them. Bundee Aki, who is number 8, Caelan Doris, who's playing so well at the moment that Jack Conan can't get in the team, but New Zealand have stolen the ball.
Sam Cane obliterates Caelan Doris in tackle, and Ardie Savea is on the ball. They'd done their homework, they knew what was coming, and they make a great defensive read.
We lost the breakdown battle. By getting after Ireland there, at set piece and at the breakdown, I think they did a great job of just unsettling Ireland and making it very uncomfortable.
The Kiwis got everything right, and that they got to an emotional pitch that Ireland nearly got to, but not quite, because Ireland didn't have the same pain in that rivalry that New Zealand had. Everything had changed for New Zealand when Ireland went down and won a series down there. It was, I'd say, close to a humiliation for them to give up that record, and the abuse and the criticism they'd taken for the year and a bit after that totally fed into their performance. You could see it in every edge they had in the game. And I think the back row battle was a really good indicator of that. They just won every little inch.
49.5 metres out. He's given it a huge reef. That's Jordie Barrett. And New Zealand have their second penalty of the quarter-final. They lead Ireland 6-0. Sheehan to Henderson. Gibson-Park to Lowe at first receiver. Bundee Aki shows and goes into contact. Here's Dan Sheehan, this young tyro of a hooker for Ireland. Van der Fleer, current World Rugby Player of the Year. New Zealand looking for a steal once more. They've got another one. The All Blacks in control of the breakdown, this time the captain. Well, there's often a lot of talk about Sam Cane and his place in this New Zealand side, but never from inside the All Blacks camp. He's first on the team sheet every single time, and there's a reason why.
Anyone who understands the rugby knows how good Sam Cane is. He was just unfortunate, I think, that he came after Richie McCaw. So it's always going to be hard, people comparing him to Richie McCaw.
He was under massive pressure, the exact same as Ian Foster. Their journeys were similar in that regard. And Sam Cane's performance against Ireland was a 10 out of 10 in that quarter-final. Phenomenal defence, phenomenal aggression in contact. The Irish journalist in me wanted to follow Ireland through to a final. You have to be happy for a guy like that who's had a horrible time, I'd say, and thought about, is this worth it? You know, you could see the development of the rivalry in the contentious nature of Peter O'Mahony and Sam Cane clashing.
You just shit Richie McCaw. That was the quote, wasn't it? That was the sledge to Sam Cane from Peter O'Mahony. That's a pretty big thing to say to an All Black captain. All Blacks didn't forget that, though. You know, that stayed with them. They went into that World Cup quarter-final highly motivated, not just because of something that Peter O'Mahony said to Sam Cane, but you can be absolutely sure that that would have been mentioned at some point in the build-up to that quarter-final, absolutely.
Another kick from the base from Aaron Smith. This one a little long, and taking the mark is James Lowe. That huge left boot of James Lowe, but Richie Mo'unga has read that really well for New Zealand. Inside to Bundee Barrett.
Oh, it's on. That's what you think when Bundee Barrett's got the ball. You want something to happen.
Both Irish wingers back. The 50-22's not on, but the chip and chase might be. And Bundee Barrett's there, and he regathers, hit hard by James Lowe. Still on for the All Blacks. Here's Jordie Barrett. Leicester Fainga'anuku. And New Zealand are in.
Brilliantly executed by Bundee Barrett, and he has to be really brave to get the ball back there. But they just managed to pick out a little weakness again, and Ireland left chasing. A sickening blow for Ireland, because New Zealand were able to say, yeah, we knew where we could exploit you, and we've done that. And that was the theme of the game, really. It was a bit of a hole to find yourself in after a quarter.
I wasn't writing Ireland off at that stage because, you know, for 20 minutes, good teams will have momentum, but that will change. And you never expect a team to have the running for the entire time. Yes, 13-0 felt sizable, but it never felt insurmountable because we knew how good Ireland are.
He ran straight across his line.
We heard Wayne Barnes. Obstruction is the call, and Ireland have a penalty.
There's nothing wrong with taking the points here, just to get something on. It's a smart call from the skipper.
The penalty to settle Irish nerves.
Yeah, you talk about quarterbacks. If you steal an NFL term, Johnny Sexton was it for Ireland. He was the fulcrum of that Ireland team. Everything revolved around Johnny Sexton. World-class, once-in-a-generation talent. Bit of a settler for Ireland, you know. Maybe some nerves creeping in around among the Irish fans in the stands, but, you know, Johnny just says, don't worry, guys, I got this.
Sexton, Aki, he's got support with him, decides to hold on. Ringrose, Doris Sexton, Keenan, Hugo Keenan, so silky. Good tackle on him from Cody Taylor.
So Ireland finally start putting some phases together. They finally start getting some ball in hand, and we finally get to see that famous continuity, that phase play that they're so famous for.
Furlong. 10 points the difference here. There's Van der Fleer. He's hit more offensive rucks than any player at the Rugby World Cup. Peter O'Mahony. James Lowe, long ball to Bundee Aki.
But when Bundee gets it, you're thinking he's just going to crash up. He's maybe going to take them to within 5 meters, few meters, then they're going to set and go again.
Dummy steps. Bundee Aki. Aki's in. Arguably the form player of the Rugby World Cup. Bundee Aki has Ireland's first try.
It was a brilliant try from a guy who was possibly the best player in the World Cup at that stage. He was just flying for him. And he was so physically robust. His footwork, as you saw for that try, when he steps back inside too, then his power to fend and get over the line. It was a real beacon for Ireland. And when he came up with that moment, it felt like one of those X-Factor players had really come up with the goods when Ireland needed it most.
Bundee Aki has been an unbelievable addition to Irish rugby. And when he got that try, it just made people believe, I think, that there's still a chance.
Big hit on Keenan. Ringrose, though, it opens up for the centre. Huge shift in momentum this game, it feels like here.
Whoever had the ball looked so composed on the ball, and whoever didn't have the ball looked so resolute on defence. It was almost like this unstoppable force against the immovable object.
Moanga, he's going to chip over the top again. Ardie Savea is on the chase, and he has it, the New Zealand number 8. Finds the offload as well to Retallick. Quick release from Smith to Scott Barrett. Here's Will Jordan.
Gallan Torres over that ball.
It was just such a physical game, wasn't it? It was being played at such amazing pace. Anytime either New Zealand or Ireland found a line break, got some momentum, someone would come up with a big turnover. Ardie Savea was popping up at just the right moment. He had such an amazing night. And yeah, you felt like you were watching something pretty special.
That's a loose line out though again from Ireland, the second of the game, slightly high arm. There you go, the boys of Tom Foley, and they're looking for a 50-22 here, New Zealand, and they're gonna get it as well.
A lot of talk, I remember talking to some New Zealand journalists in the media room during the World Cup and pre-match saying, you know, this vintage could effectively put New Zealand rugby back 10 years if they lose to Ireland in a quarter-final. Like, the pressure on them was incredible, and every time we got ahead or got back to them, it just felt like New Zealand had an extra gear.
They go to Savea at the front, Retallick has it, but they play off quickly through Smith. Jordie Barrett to Rieko Ioane, looking for his first try against Ireland. Sam Cane puts the head down. Cane!
No, you're off your feet. Off your feet. Advantage, offside. 10 offside, penalty advantage.
Will Jordan, Rieko Ioane, Ardie Savea! The birthday boy with a try for the All Blacks in the quarter-final.
And Ardie Savea has played an outstanding 33 minutes and 29 seconds so far.
Yeah, skill set is synonymous with New Zealand rugby players, isn't it? Beautiful quick hands, the catch and release from Rieko Ioane. You know, to put Ardie Savea in the corner on his 30th birthday. I mean, that was one of the all-time great performances from a New Zealand loose forward, and no one deserved a try more that day than him.
For me, the legends of the games are the ones who step up at the biggest moments when their team needs them. He kind of had this attitude of, I don't care what you bring, I'm going to find a solution to it.
Every moment in this game felt consequential. That whole game felt like chucking a stone in a still lake, and you never knew which way the ripples would go, and it was almost breathless. I remember thinking, God, can we just end this half so we can take a break?
Sexton again. Keenan. Van der Fleer. Good tackle from Will Jordan. Good momentum, though, for Ireland. Final 5 minutes we're into here of this first half of this Rugby World Cup quarter-final. The winner will play Argentina here in this stadium next Friday. James Lowe shooting out of line for New Zealand was Jordie Barrett. Hansen's there, flings it in field.
Put his arm out, hit the arm, stop the pass.
Looks like there was a deliberate knock-on, so there might be a bit more on this.
Okay, so we've got a decent opportunity of a line break, and though there is a defender covering, so it's nothing
Correct.
more, but it is a yellow card, yeah?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Aaron Smith heads to the sin bin for 10 minutes.
Big call, but the right one. It was deliberate. He put his hand out on purpose. You can't do that.
Yeah, it felt like Dublin. A lot of Irish fans recognised that this was their time. I was sitting next to a New Zealand journalist, and he I wouldn't say he looked scared, but it definitely felt like he was in a cauldron. It didn't feel, it felt like Dublin. And yeah, maybe that was also a sign that, yes, the Irish fans recognized that momentum was with them, but they also needed to get a move on and start getting some points.
Well, here are Ireland looking to close the gap before half-time. O'Mahony wins it at the front. That's a better line-out. Sheehan has it at the back. Gibson-Park plays to Aki, already a try in this quarter-final. Out the back to Sexton to Ringrose. Counter up from New Zealand. And it's another penalty against them, offside. And again, Johnny Sexton will set up an attacking line-out.
The yellow card leading up to half-time definitely feels like, okay, momentum has switched hands here. Ireland are in control. Maybe not of the scoreboard just yet, but the rhythm of the game and imposing their ability onto the Kiwis.
Ireland penalty, Ireland attacking line-out once more. Again, O'Mahony. Again. The catch and drive. Gibson-Park arrives and he plays. Gibson-Park dummies and goes. And he scores! Jamison Gibson-Park. Once a Māori All Black. Now a try scorer for Ireland against New Zealand.
Ireland scoring, and the fact that it came from a maul as well was an important moment because Ireland had spent a lot of time being a more dominant team in those areas of the game, and Gibson-Park's able to snipe off the back of that. And the Kiwis, with the yellow card, as you can see, are just feeling the pressure more.
This to close the game to 1 point. Johnny Sexton raises the flags at the Stade de France. And the #1 team in the world are within a point of New Zealand.
That was essential before halftime to get in, having endured a terrible first quarter, but got yourselves back into the game. You're able to move on from that and launch into a second half with belief that you're in a quarter-final and that you still have the best of yourself to show.
Back in the pocket to Sexton. He's happy for them to take their medicine of a 1 point difference. And head to half-time. What a half it has been.
I remember turning to Carlton Arner, who I was commentating with at half-time, and just saying, wow, we knew this was going to be great, but not that great. I mean, that 40 minutes was off the charts good. We just thought, what's going to happen next, 40 minutes to come in a quarter-final. For it to be that good up to that point, it just felt like a real privilege to be there. You couldn't call it either way. It was that tight.
Johnny Sexton leads Ireland back out onto the Stade de France. Trailing New Zealand by a point in the quarter-final. Under pressure early, have found a way back. Ardie Savea, one of the try scorers for New Zealand in that first half. 10 carries for him over 70 metres. He's been impressive. But a long way to go in this quarter-final. And we're back underway. Jordie Barrett, New Zealand now right to left. Playing with 14. Aaron Smith in the sin bin for a further 5 minutes.
I guess that's the one thing that they did change, right? They did start going to the boots more. That close in phase play just wasn't quite yielding the dividends that it had in previous victories over New Zealand. It was interesting to see that change.
Works the chip and chase once more. His brother Jordie's there. So is James Lowe, though. Can't take it cleanly, but goes backwards. Sheehan. Sexton. Ringrose to Hansen. Mac Hansen with the chip and chase. Just bounces over the sideline. There will be an Ireland throw too. The line-out 50-22 is called. New Zealand contest the line-out again. It was Frizzell going up, but Ireland bring it down. Here's Bundee Aki, who thunders into Fainga'anuku. Gibson-Park kicks high in the direction of Peter O'Mahony. O'Mahony goes forward off the big number 6. Ireland maintain the ball. Side burn out to Hansen. They're going to kick again. It's Dan Sheehan on the chase. Dan Sheehan just bounced a little too high.
And New Zealand negotiated now. They're 5.5 minutes. They're back up to their 15.
And the ball's out, and Porter's onto it like a flash, and here come Ireland. Aki flicked on by Ringrose brilliantly. Keenan to James Lowe. Ireland spring into life. Change of direction from Gibson-Park. Ringrose, Keenan, Van der Fleer, Lowe. Gary Ringrose again at first receiver. Caelan Doris holds on. Tyrell Lomax with the tackle. Here's Sexton. Ringrose dummies and goes. Puts the head down. Looking for the turnover. New Zealand, they don't get it. Shot tackle from Retallick, and they do get the steal, New Zealand. And it's Ardie Savea once more.
Superhuman at the moment, the number 8.
The motto is kill the kings. Ireland would have said Ardie Savea is one of the kings. Maybe there's a feeling, or was a feeling pre that game, that Ardie Savea is very good when he's on the front foot, and he's a flair player, and he is. But I think he's a lot more than that, and I think he proved it that night in terms of his grit, his resilience, his doggedness, his consistency over every minute he was on the field.
Pretty much what every young back rower wants to be. A wrecking ball with ball in hand, like exciting, gets you out of your seat, can break tackles, almost superhuman strength, sometimes can shrug people off, can come up with big turnovers, moments of magic, has a kicking game. Like the guy essentially has everything.
And his play has just taken off to the next level. Ardie Savea.
So most teams from this far out don't pose that much of a threat, win the line out, crash up, and then go again. But if there's one team in the world that can score from anywhere, historically, it's New Zealand.
The Will Jordan try is probably the aspect of that game that will live with me, because I think it summed up one of the essential parts of that game. Joe Schmidt, his plan for Ireland. A 4-man line-out, quite unusual, and Ireland hadn't defended against many of them. New Zealand actually hadn't run many of them in the couple of years leading up to the World Cup. It was just a different picture that they absolutely, Ireland wouldn't have expected to face there.
Look, it was a moment of brilliance from Mo'unga, but it was the shape they put at Ireland that just confused Dan Sheehan and Josh Van der Fleer, who were defending together, and they bought the dummy.
But he explodes through a half gap. Steps Van der Fleer, who not long ago was World Rugby's Player of the Year. So he's no mug, he's an absolute unit on defence. So to step him is no easy feat.
And he has the pace on the back of it to take out some of those backfield defenders and give Will Jordan a chance to finish.
Jordan's still got quite a bit to finish from there, 30-odd metres, but as soon as he gathers the ball and doesn't knock it on, there's only one outcome.
And it's a complete momentum changer in this game.
It was a sucker punch from New Zealand.
Jordie Barrett. Brilliant kick from the sideline. New Zealand up to 25.
It's definitely one of those moments that harm your confidence and your belief that you can get the job done. So it was a really telling blow for New Zealand for Will Jordan to scorch home from 60 metres out.
Slow ball again for Ireland. Sexton. Keenan, Van der Fleer. Well read by Rieko Ioane. Ireland get the penalty. Johnny Sexton's missed the penalty.
Pressure. Amazing what pressure can do.
You bet your house on Johnny Sexton kicking that penalty. I remember looking around, the people sitting around us, and it was almost shock that Johnny Sexton had missed that kick. He was human after all. Ireland were doing things that Ireland don't do. They were making mistakes that Ireland don't make. And you can only think that's the occasion, and that's the history of never winning a World Cup quarter-final, perhaps. It's hard to explain because, you know, as that game went on, you thought Ireland were gaining control. were putting the right pressure in the right areas against the All Blacks that we'd seen them do before. But then just these moments of doubt coming in. It was really, really unusual for that Ireland team to make mistakes like that.
I think the last few years leading into that quarter-final were all relevant to the build-up and the narrative around the game. Ireland had transformed their relationship with New Zealand rugby. They'd beaten the All Blacks several times, including down in New Zealand. But balancing that was the fact they'd never won a quarter-final of the World Cup. I don't know if it was as much for the players, but certainly on the outside, that was the perception, is there's going to be extra stress here because they know that they're trying to create history just by winning this game.
Jordie Barrett puts it over the sideline, and a hush has descended around the Stade de France. The sea of green now coming to life, trying to will on their side.
Louise Ransom spoke about what Johnny Sexton was talking about, the mental toughness, being able to get back from these situations. This is the moment right now. He has to lead. He has to keep his troops on point. Don't go away from the plan. Don't flinch.
Here's Sexton again out the back to James Lowe, and now Hugo Keenan drifts inside, and Sam Cane doing what all good open sides do, tracking the ball. Porter, Ringrose, it's on for Ireland here, can they shift it? Keenan, James Lowe. Sexton back inside to Conor Murray. New Zealand want the decision, they're not going to get it, it goes Ireland's way. It's a two-score game. Ireland go to the corner, and Johnny asks for support from the crowd.
Massive, massive moment in the context of this one.
They throw to the middle, Whitelock contests. But Tyburn brings it down, and here comes the green machine. It's a penalty try. Collapsing the maul was the call. And it's a yellow card as well.
Well, the momentum things were just wild in this game, and absolutely, when Ireland get a maul penalty try and a yellow card comes with it, and they're back within sniffing, touching distance, you think this is swung now decisively.
I mean, if you had said to Ireland they were going to play against 14 players, 14 New Zealanders for 20 minutes of that quarter-final, I think Ireland would have taken that. Again, New Zealand under massive pressure. To have lost Aaron Smith early in the game, to lose Cody Taylor there, huge for Ireland. The question was, could they take advantage of the moment?
Right now for New Zealand, it's just about damage control. With Taylor still 6 minutes and a bit of change in the sin bin. Hugo Keenan climbs high. It's a penalty to New Zealand because Jordie Barrett was upended.
Connor has pulled number 12 off the ball.
See Conor Murray just wrapping his arms around, stopping the jump. And experienced players, and there's been a number of them tonight, Rupert, have made massive mistakes.
You can be sure that Jordie Barrett's going to eke as much off this shot clock as he possibly can. Jordie Barrett. That one sails through.
It was very cool also for the Barrett family. Like, this was a massive fixture for them as youngsters. And as a family, they'd grown up partly in Ireland as well. So part of farming culture in Ireland, they'd been over and farmed for a couple of years. So a real personal tie for them, given the fact they were playing against a country that they'd spent time in growing up as a family and as brothers. And 3 of them were actually part of the 23 on that game day, which was pretty cool.
4 points now between these outstanding rugby sides. Sam Cane into contact. Jordie Barrett kicks high. Sexton's underneath it for Ireland, and now he sets off Johnny Sexton. Stands in the tackle, offloads to Conor Murray. He kicks in behind. Jordie Barrett reads it well. Flicks it indoors dangerously. Leonard Brown's alert to it. Penalty Ireland.
If New Zealand kept conceding penalties, Ireland were going to kick to the corner, and their line-out drive was probably the best in the world at that time, and it was going to be so difficult to defend. You kind of started to feel that the writing was on the wall. Place is going absolutely crazy with Irish noise. They feel this is the moment. They just scored a penalty try with the rolling maul. Cody Taylor's in the sin bin. You're thinking there's no way New Zealand defend this. They're 4 points behind at this point. A try puts Ireland in front in the quarterfinal for the first time.
I reckon you can bet the house that they'll go for a similar result here, Ireland. Tyburn brings it down once again.
Ireland go to the maul, they get set, they've got possession, this is it.
Ireland thundering towards the New Zealand line, but New Zealand have halted it in its tracks. But the second shot for Ireland over the line.
No, look at that. Jordie Barrett with the stop.
Jordie Barrett comes up with one of the biggest plays of the entire match.
Ronan Kelleher nearly gets the ball down. It's the width of Jordie Barrett's right thigh.
99 times out of 100 it'll be a try. But an unbelievable piece of defence from a certain Jordie Barrett. Gets underneath Ronan Kelleher, and obviously, you know, it ends up being a goal line dropout. And New Zealand survived what looked like a certain try for Ireland.
That felt like the moment that it had to happen, and it felt like such a big win for New Zealand because it was followed by an error from Ireland.
Caelan Doris has knocked it on.
Oh, he's been superb in this game. Caelan Doris.
Caelan Doris, of all people, the most error-free player that there is.
Oh my word. This bloke has never dropped a ball in his life.
Didn't even go that far. Wasn't a great chase. Caelan Doris, safest hands you could want in that situation, drops it cold. I remember a cutaway to the coaching box. They can't believe it. Caelan Doris, look on his face. What just happened? Pressure, I guess. Big moment.
Aaron Smith kicks off the base, brilliantly taken by Jimmy O'Brien. In his World Cup debut, he's done nothing wrong since coming on. Sexton, now Ireland are going to play. They have to play. They're going to have to go long range with the ball in hand. Less than 3 minutes to go now.
It's now or never, really. There's something about a rugby team
Murray to Sexton to Aki.
when there is no other option.
This warrior at inside centre for Ireland.
That brings out the best in some teams.
Kelleher with the inside pass.
When there is no second chance if this doesn't go well, where everything is on the line.
Jack Conan. They need to play like barbarians now, don't they, Ireland? Big tackle coming in from Anton Leonard-Brown.
You can see teams defending the line.
Caelan Doris.
You can see teams with ball in hand.
Murray to Sexton again. Shifted on by Conan to Tyburn.
If we were conscious of the colour of one's aura, it would change. There's just something about top players and top teams that are able to flip that switch when this is all that matters. Nothing else is important in this world.
2 minutes to go in the quarter-final. Out the back to Ringrose.
I mean, it was just unbelievable. I mean, the fatigue levels must have been, you know, tanks must have been empty. The noise inside the stadium, willing Ireland on.
New Zealand want the turnover. Ireland still have it. McCarthy now. Sexton, long ball over the top to James Lowe. Beauden Barrett's got him around the ankle, and Will Jordan comes in to get involved. They don't want to give away a penalty here, New Zealand. All about discipline. 90 seconds to go in the quarterfinal. Sexton, can the great man find a way? Conan, O'Brien, wouldn't that be a story in his World Cup debut? Sexton again. Kelleher offloads in contact to Keenan. Shot tackle on Conan. That was Whitelock. Jimmy O'Brien. Retallick tackles him. Final minute. 18 phases now for Ireland. Jack Conan in a bit of space.
Anything over 10 phases is difficult on the lungs. Anything over 30 phases is absolutely remarkable, incredible, really.
But the bodies, people were shattered. I mean, it'd been a high-intensity game. Physicality was off the scale, and yet people were getting up off the ground and putting their body on the line over and over again, on both sides of the ball.
McCarthy out the back to Ringrose, through the hands of James Lowe. Aki has it. New Zealand look for the steal on the floor. 30 seconds to go. 4 points down Ireland. There's McCarthy once more. Tamaiti Williams with the chop tackle.
It felt epic. That's what it felt watching it. Was you had two of the best rugby sides on earth throwing everything at it.
We're through 80 minutes. We're on the final play. Ireland needs something special, or they're going out of the Rugby World Cup at the quarter-final stage again. Conan, ball's loose. Savea's there for New Zealand, looking for the steal. Ardie Savea. Thought he won it there. Another chance for Ireland. Dave Kilcoyne at scrum half to Sexton. Doris, Ringrose, Keenan, James Lowe. Former Māori All Black, wouldn't that be a story? Sam Whitelock driving for New Zealand. Got to be careful here. Dave Kilcoyne with the carry. Doris to Kelleher. Irish fans in their numbers willing on the men in green. Sexton, Ringrose, Gary Ringrose almost through. Second minute of added time here. Here's James Lowe again. Gets the ball away to O'Brien. Players almost out on their feet. 30 phases for Ireland. Extraordinary finish to this quarter-final. Caelan Doris. Ioane looked for the steal. He was cleared away. Ty Byrne. 32 phases. Sexton. Aki. An enormous defensive effort this from New Zealand. Jack Conan again. Leonard Brown with the tackle, needs to get out of the ruck area. Dave Kilcoyne. 35 phases. Sexton, Conan, almost in front of him that pass. Richie Mo'unga looking for the steal. Kelleher again, he's hit hard by Retallick. New Zealand want the steal. Whitelock! Sam Whitelock! The double World Cup winner comes up with the steal for New Zealand. Jordie Barrett puts it over the sideline. The All Blacks are back in the World Cup picture. Ireland's quarter-final curse continues.
It's hard to overstate how good that defensive set was from the All Blacks. I think that's what sets this sport apart from all other codes, is that you can not touch the ball for 5 minutes and you can come up with a moment which is just all about effort, all about giving absolutely everything for your country. And that's what Sam Whitelock did, you know, and typical someone like him to do that, to win that steal. And just a remarkable, remarkable end. And Ireland missed out in the semi-final once again.
Sam Whitelock, the old warhorse, and absolutely proved his legendary status in that game and in that World Cup. To just be in the fight in that last moment. And you can debate the decision till the cows come home, but one of the best defensive stands I've ever seen in rugby.
Bundee Aki couldn't have given any more. None of these Irish players could have.
I think the initial mood was shock. And that sounds stupid because no one thought we were going to win a World Cup as a matter of right. But certainly there was a feeling that this was different. It was probably our best ever chance. So there was, it was shock and disappointment. and it was devastated. People were devastated.
Johnny Sexton, his last match for Ireland, ends in defeat in a quarter-final. An all-time great.
Well, you've got to feel for him, don't you? He's done everything.
Oh, you really do,
Absolutely everything in the game of rugby. Wears his heart on his sleeve, has been so staunch, so massive, same as this guy for their country. Doesn't detract from what they've done. They've been the best team at this tournament, I've got no doubt about that, but they weren't the best team tonight.
The hangover for Irish rugby was severe, because everyone had believed for the first time. When you almost allow yourself to get to that state, the come down is even stronger, and that was even more so the case because Johnny Sexton was retiring, and Keith Earls had retired as well, but Sexton is the big one. Possibly Ireland's greatest player of all time, the absolute driving force in that squad, the captain, the tactical leader, the energizer and the standard setter, really, of that group. And their whole mission had been the 2023 World Cup, and they came up short, so that absolutely added to the, I suppose, horrific hangover that Irish rugby and Ireland had in the wake of that game. It's still kind of lingering a little bit, I'll be honest. I think we'll all in Ireland have those what-if moments about how things could have slightly gone different, and Johnny Sexton's last game might have been a World Cup final potentially.
And I think New Zealand felt the pressure coming into the match, and to win that game against Ireland, you know, maybe there was a bit of stuff said afterwards. You know, one of the great things about our sport is, you know, full-time whistle, you know, you let bygones be bygones, you have a beer in the changing rooms and you move on, and you show respect. But yeah, there was definitely a different level of edginess to this match between New Zealand and Ireland, absolutely.
Going back to Chicago is a welcome touch on the history of this rivalry, isn't it? And I suppose a dark day in Kiwi rugby because it transformed things forever, and a beautiful day in Irish rugby in Soldier Field. It'll be brilliant to be back there. And it's such a different context for the whole relationship, because now Ireland are the ones, I suppose, with a point to prove in this relationship. New Zealand had that, not that they were underdogs, but they'd had that mentality of kind of chasing Ireland leading into 2023 in the World Cup quarter-final, and now Ireland are the ones with a point to prove. I think there's no better way to kick it on again another level than by having a rematch in Chicago, where they had that epic Irish win, and where I'd say New Zealand still feel they have a score to settle, because whatever about Ireland's brilliance that day, I mean, excellent performance, really excellent tries, defended really well. New Zealand will feel that they didn't do themselves justice. So it was a long way in the past, but there's a score to settle in some ways on both sides now.
You're taking two of the best teams in the history of our sport to one of the biggest sporting cities in America to show them what rugby's all about.
Between 2016 and 2024, they've won 5 each. I mean, that's incredible change in the stats between the two teams. So, yeah, the rematch in Soldier Field is absolutely that. I mean, it's a rematch of 2016, but it's also, you know, a bit of a final between the two sides as well. Who gets bragging rights? Who's going to, in the last decade, be the team with the better win ratio? Soldier Field, Chicago, November 1st. Big game.